Some breaking news from Ukraine. Kyiv came under renewed Russian drone and missile attacks overnight, killing at least 2 people and injuring 13. Several residential and other buildings were set on fire by falling debris. Well, let's cross live now to Kyiv and speak to our diplomatic correspondent, Paul Adams, who's there for us. So, Paul, a second night in a row of deadly attacks from Russia. How bad was the one overnight?
Well, judging by the reports this morning, it was not a major source of damage. We have heard reports of 2 fatalities and a number of buildings that have been damaged, in many cases by falling debris. What often happens is that the city's air defenses go into action and things are shot out of the sky, and sometimes it is those fragments of drones and missiles that cause damage. We're not aware that there were any direct hits as such, although clearly, judging by some of the videos we've seen this morning, there is damage to buildings, some of it residential, some of it infrastructure. We're never given precise details about anything that has any kind of security or defense value, but it does seem as though some targets that have been hit in the past have also been struck again.
And Paul, we continue to hear from Ukrainian authorities asking for more defense systems. How is it able to counter these Russian strikes at the moment? How is it coping with that?
Not badly, to be honest. I mean, there was a time fairly recently when it seemed as though the pace of the Russian attacks and the sheer volume of the Russian attacks were beginning to overwhelm Ukraine's ability to cope. And that ability consists of everything from men in the back of pickup trucks with machine guns to highly advanced Patriot interceptor missiles supplied by America. And the city, in fact, Ukraine needs all of that in order to mount a comprehensive defense against this wide array of weapons that Russia is using, from the drones to the ballistic and cruise missiles. And there has been, obviously, in the past week, a great deal of concern that the supply of the high-end equipment, the Patriot interceptor missiles, was in jeopardy following a decision by the Pentagon to suspend arms deliveries. All the indications over the last couple of days seem to be that Donald Trump has reversed that, and that those Patriot missiles may still arrive. We're not quite sure if they will be directly supplied from the United States or perhaps purchased through Europe. But there is a sense that perhaps that moment of crisis is over, and so the Ukraine will continue to shoot down the vast majority of drones and missiles that are fired on this almost nightly basis now.
And Paul, over the last few months, we've been talking about efforts to reach a ceasefire, possibly a peace deal. Yesterday, we heard from the German Chancellor saying that all efforts to reach a peace agreement has been exhausted. Where do we stand with that?
I think Friedrich Merz kind of put it pretty well. It does seem as though at the moment diplomacy has run into the ground. Dmitry Peskov, the Kremlin spokesman, used very similar language a couple of days ago. And so there is a sense that despite the sense of kind of vigor and determination that the Trump administration came in with in the early part of this year, all efforts to try and secure a ceasefire, whether a short-term one or a longer-term one, have come to nothing. And so all the talk really at the moment is back on the questions of how do we make sure that Ukraine is able to defend itself, and that's where things like Patriot missiles and other weapon systems are so important, but also how can Ukraine be made economically resilient, able to withstand the pressures placed on it by Russia for the long term. All thought of this war ending in 2025, which many people thought would happen at the beginning of the year, that really does seem to have evaporated.
Paul, thank you. That's our diplomatic correspondent, Paul Adams, in Kyiv there.